Curveball. Yeah. Thrown at me the last one. Last month I had a surgery. What's to be for surgery? Useful. Very useful. Is it fun? It's fun right now. She was stressed out.
I need it for myself, actually.
It was in Rhode Island, Boston. I do use my phone. I use my phone instead. I don't really check in to see. I think it's the hard part to do that. But I have to do.
Good evening, everyone. Roll call show Tom Perry, Terry Grenier, Megan Gardner, and myself are present. Agenda review, we do have an item, I'd order 19131 to be put on the agenda. I'll take a motion to add that.
Move approval.
Second? All right. All those in favor of adding order on? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes of June 24th, 2019. I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Second? There you go. Anybody have any questions, comments, changes? Minutes?
You know, let me just say, Nancy Ward does such a great job on minutes. I don't think I've asked for a correction for years.
Nope, it was a great job. All right, then I will take a vote on Nancy's minutes. All those in favor? Get her published yet. Moving on to public hearings. Public hearing A, to consider a vitulers license for Hospi Food Service doing business as Subway, 53 Main Street.
Hi, good evening, folks. I'm Dave Milan, the Director of Community Development, and I'm here to report to you that the inspections have been performed and staff's recommending approval of the license.
Anyone wish to speak for or against the issuing of this license? Hearing none, I'll close public hearing A. Move on to public hearing B, to consider a vitulers license for Cam Rep Inc., doing business as Spotlight Cinemas, 6 Stillwater Avenue.
Our town ordinance, one of our requirements in our town ordinance is that tax payments, including personal property taxes, are paid when the applications are submitted for this. And this particular application is that the personal property tax has not been paid yet. But the inspections have been performed, and staff is recommending that a conditional approval, that the condition that the property tax be paid before the license is issued.
Does anyone wish to speak for or against the issuing of this license? Dave, is that this because it's a new fiscal year that these taxes are due? Or is it last fiscal year's tax, personal property?
Go ahead.
So this is the FY19 personal property. It totals $13,157 plus accrued interest of about $624. The last payment that was made on this account was March of 2018. So it's a year of taxes.
Thank you.
All right, I will close public hearing B. Move on to public hearing C, to consider a Class 1 malt spirituous and vinous liquor license and vitulers license for ZRKM LLC, doing business as Taquerita, 2 Mill Street.
This is the former the Verve property, and again the life safety inspector as well as the code enforcement officer have inspected the property. They have met most of the requirements. They know what it is that needs to be done, but they're still trying to finish these things. The timing of it is such that they're asking that it be approved conditional on a final inspection by the life safety inspector and the code enforcement officer.
Anyone wish to speak for or against the issuing of this license? Dave, do you know when they're hoping to open?
Mid-August.
Great. All right, thank you. Close public hearing C. Move on to public hearing D, to discuss acceptance of a $45,000 micro enterprise assistance CDBG grant. The purpose of the grant is to provide funding for facade improvements to the Bayer Manufacturing Building located at 74 Mill Street.
Again, this is it's a refresher to the council and to others. I think this is the third time that you've got to hear about this project. This is a facade grant for Bayer's Manufacturing. The HUD grant CDBG requirement requires us to have a public hearing every time we turn our head. So this is one of those requirements that we're into the final review phase of this. So it gives the public the opportunity to comment on the project that is occurring and whether the town should be supporting it or not. I'm happy to go into more detail if anyone needs it, but I think for brevity, I'll leave it at that.
Sounds good. Does anyone wish to comment on this CDBG grant? Council have anything to add? Okay.
Just for the record, to make sure we know, this is clearly non-local money.
Correct.
And Jay Shield has been with us a couple of times to talk about the work that he wants to do on improving his building. And this is a grant that's going to allow him to do that.
Correct. It's a federal fund through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, that goes through the state to municipalities. That a business owner cannot apply for it directly. The municipality has to do it on behalf of them. There is a dollar for dollar match for any money. For every dollar that comes in through HUD has to be matched. And in this particular case, Jay has submitted his the
Imagine.
guarantee for the match amount. So it's no monies are coming out of town funds.
Great. Thank you, Dave. All right, I will close public hearing D. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Roberta Bradson. I live next door to this property, and I have other neighbors here. We're just wondering if we're going to see what this property is going to look like, what he's planning on putting into this property. And I mean, I'm all for seeing some improvement done, but would, as far as lighting goes or parking goes, or what kind of materials he's using, are we going to have a chance to view that and be a part of that architectural process?
The answer to the question is that there is a local committee that the council sets that committee to look at things. Unless you have design standards, like in a historic district, there's no mandate as to who agrees with those. I would offer that if an applicant was proposing to come in with a lime green and orange siding option, that we would be having as the overseer of the grant, would be having a conversation, probably bringing it back to to council or to the committee to review those. But there is, in the process, it's a public process. So as the project moves forward, there's opportunity to, and I could certainly share any of that information with anyone that's interested in it.
But Dave, I would also assume that just to specifically, I mean, the lime green siding, it's funny, but specifically to the question of lighting and parking, things like that, I mean, they wouldn't be allowed to change, to enhance anything that's not currently allowed by.
Correct. It's a facade grant. So the facade is simply that, it's the sides of the building that can be seen from a street. So in this particular case, it's 3 out of the 4 sides. The 4th side being the side towards the river is not being touched, but the other 3 sides of the building, it's just the exterior facade of the building. There won't be any changing in lighting. There's no, as part of this project, there's no change in parking. It's literally replacing windows in the building and replacing the siding.
Roberta, I don't know if you recall, but when we did the downtown district CDBG facade improvement, there was a district architectural kind of guideline that went along with where we kind of wanted the sign banners to be and what kind of material we would really see on the outside. Those would be the things that we would be approving at the staff level. We would be using that document as guidance. I will say that since Dave is running the project on the ground and I'm running the finances of the project, we are putting together, we have to have another group, which we were going to hopefully seat a couple of counselors. And if you're interested, anybody who's interested should let me know.
Definitely.
Because we can put as many people on that committee as would have interest, and definitely not trying to keep anything secret here. So if you have interest, it would probably be one of those one meeting, and then if there were any complaints, that committee comes together to deal with any complaints.
Great. Thank you very much. Anything else? All right, we'll move on to acknowledgements by councilmen. Terry, I'll done with you.
I was peeking at Meg's goes like a lot of the stuff that you was going to say. I'm well thinking. Well, no. I was actually going to say for those of you who were able to attend the bridge dedication, Councilor Gardner, Councilor Perry, and I were there. And by the way, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
But it just kind of made me feel really proud to be part of this community, just by the amount of people that showed up, how professional and how well it was done. So if you didn't get to see it, it was a great event.
Yeah, the signs are really, really nice on
Yes.
the bridge, particularly the ones that have his picture on them. They're very nice. I would. It was just also a very peaceful afternoon to stand next to a river and think about someone who was an important part of this community. I would like to acknowledge the U.S. women's team for winning the World Cup yesterday. That was amazing. It was very exciting to watch. What little watching I got, I watched the replays later. I'd also like to acknowledge the university adding the Penobscot language to the signs on campus. I thought I saw that in the news the other day, and I thought that was a really important step forward. Visitors who come to campus or students who come to campus who don't know anything about or don't know much about the history of this area, it's opening a door for folks to learn and ask questions, and I think it's really great.
Tom?
Well, just to piggyback on what Terry said, I was honored to represent the council at the dedication of the bridge to Brandon S. Silk, and it was a very nice activity. I'd like to thank the University Motor Inn for allowing us to use their facility, for putting on a little reception afterwards. It was very nice. It was a perfect venue for that event. Now, not an acknowledgement, but a question. I see all of these emergency exit signs around town. Is somebody going to tell us what they mean sometime?
Right. And what letter? More of them keep appearing.
I'm sure it's a great idea, but I have no idea what any of them mean.
I could try. I could be wrong, but let me try. Josh Ewing, Police Chief. I believe that if you were coming up the interstate and something occurred just shy of Kelly Road exit or just above the Kelly Road exit and blocked the interstate, a sign below that would direct you off the interstate, and it would tell you to follow whichever sign you needed to get back above the accident or above the blockage back onto the interstate, the quickest route. So anytime a route is blocked, you'll be directed to one of those signs. It'll say follow DD, which will get you back onto your route and around the obstruction. That's my understanding.
Guess that.
That's actually my understanding. Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for confirming his understanding. Great. That's it. All right, we'll move on to unfinished business. Don't believe we have any. And then the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to move the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ooh, Terry made a motion.
It's going to happen eventually.
We'll take a vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Moving on to new business. Order 19-127. Order authorizing and directing the town manager to submit an application for the Micro Enterprise Assistant Grant Program, requesting $45,000 from the State of Maine CDBG program to the Department of Economic and Community Development on behalf of the town of Orono, substantially in the form presented to this council. Do I have to read the and? Okay, and I'm not reading the and. I'll take a motion on 19.
Move approval.
Second.
Again, just prepared to answer any questions you may have. The only thing I want to add is that I am required to pass around a sign-in list to the audience for folks who are here. So,
Does any of council have any questions or comments on this is something that has a lot of paperwork attached to it, so it works well. All right, I'll take a vote on order 19-127. All those in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Order 19-128, order authorizing the purchase of one 2020 Ford Utility Police Interceptor from Augusta Ford of Augusta in the amount of $38,001 plus $6,600 for equipment purchase and setup through Custom Installations LLC of Levant and additional cruiser preparation services at $399. The total cost is $45,000 to be drawn from the FY20 capital equipment budget. Motion,
Hi.
please.
Oh,
So moved.
Ooh, okay.
hi there. It is that time of year where the police department requests a cruiser. This year, typically, we would have requested two, based on the cycle that we've been following for many years. But as a kind of a cost savings effort for the town this year, we elected to go with one. That cruiser bid was put out, and the lowest bid was through Augusta Ford at the $38,001. Augusta Ford has been reliable and responsive in the past for us. The additional amount there is for purchasing of equipment, installation of the new cruiser, removal of equipment of a old cruiser, and then the small amount at the end there would be toward the stripping of the graphics off of the old car, putting new graphics on, and adding some other small pieces of equipment. Yeah.
So this is my Counselor Perry disclaimer, which is,
Oh,
although
yes.
we're shuffling cars around because there are kind of different levels in the fleet, one car is leaving the fleet and will leave the town. As soon as it's ready, we will put it out to bid.
And this purchase will, and the removal of that vehicle and this purchase will allow the fleet to be 100%, in theory, universal. Will all be the Ford Expedition or the Ford Interceptor Explorer.
That was going to be my question. It's the same model.
You know, and I've been saying that what a great thing it'll be when all the cars are exactly the same. Ford decided this year that they would upgrade the current model, so it's a slightly different size. They've added a little bit of length, maybe 4 or 5 inches, but it does allow for some more legroom, front seat, back seat. So that being said, the cost of the car has gone up. They upgraded the engine. So not everything is as universal as it should be, but I believe they're going to be adapting kits that will be made by the other companies that we use equipment for to make it all work. It's just a little more expensive.
Anyone else have any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Josh. I'll take a vote on order 19-129. Nope, I'm sorry, 128. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Now we'll move on to order 19-129. It's an order approving the transfer of any portion of the defendant in rem $2,161, namely $1,836.85, as set forth in the Penobscot Court Criminal Action Docket Number CR 19-421, State versus Jacob Joyner, pursuant to 15 MRSA Section 58243 and Section 58266. Take a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
This is one of those situations where an officer determined that an individual was engaged in criminal activity, arrested said individual, and in a search of the individual in the car that he was in yielded drugs, drug paraphernalia, and cash. And the impression was that there was some sort of drug transactions taking place, and this person was reaping those rewards of those drug transactions, so that the money was seized along with the drugs and the paraphernalia, and the district attorney's office moved to seize that money. When that takes place, the money comes, if it all goes forward, and it did, the money comes to the town, and we simply pay the DA's office a 15% fee for the court action that it took to seize that money.
So most of the time, we don't talk about this on new business. However, you're not scheduled to meet in August, and we're not scheduled to have a finance committee meeting prior, and so it would have to wait till September. The DA's office is asking for this form back, so that's why we brought it forward.
And this has not gone,
It has all gone to court
it has.
and been resolved. The charges have been resolved and the money has been forfeited.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Glad to have it.
All right. I will take a vote on Order 19129. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Moving on to Order 19130. Order authorizing the town manager to accept and expend funds from the Maine Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, for expenses related to hazardous material response team operations, and further limiting this authority to those expenditures that are within the current scope of services provided by the team, conform to the town purchasing policy, and do not exceed $15,000 in total for FY20. Take a motion, please.
So
Move
moved.
approval.
Second. All right, Sophie?
So every year, the town council approves a hazmat budget as part of its routine operation. We run the hazmat program through a dedicated fund, not through the general fund. But that budget is based upon the $15,000 contribution that we get from the state in the form of this reimbursement for disposable goods. So when we need buckets for decontamination, we tell the state and they give us buckets, or actually we go buy them and they reimburse us for those. It runs the gamut in terms of materials to clean, suits to wear, but it's disposable items part of the day-to-day operation. We have always, in the 8.5 years I've been here, simply run that through as operations. It's gone through the warrant process, but we've never really asked council for permission to do it. We don't see it as a grant because there isn't a particular grant document that comes in. We have brought it back to council if we wanted to buy a piece of capital equipment or something that exceeded the $5,000 threshold, which is part of the purchasing policy. And we have brought it back to council if it was going to change the way we operated the team. So my hunch is that we could continue to operate the way we have been doing, but I also know with the way that GASB and GAP is tightening, especially with regarding the authority to expend public funds, I would feel much more comfortable if you would simply authorize me to accept that money with these limitations and expend the money.
Questions or comments? Makes good sense. We're just formalizing practice. All right, I will take a vote on Order 19130. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Moving on to Order 19131, order authorizing the town manager to sign a marketing and sponsorship agreement between Orono Old Town Economic Development Group and Black Bear Sports Properties, LLC. Take a motion, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Hi, good evening, folks. This is the third of a 3-year commitment arrangement that we've made with Black Bear Sports Properties, where we partnered with the city of Old Town to help support a marketing program for our businesses in town. As I said, this was something that was submitted in our budget. I'm happy to give you as much or as little information as you need to make your decision.
This is the football stadium.
Football, hockey, etc.
The idea behind it is simply that on their own, our small businesses don't really have the wherewithal to leverage the university marketing because it's such a high buy-in. So instead, we
Partnered with the city of Old Town.
partnered with the city of Old Town and are buying in as a group, and then the marketing time is divided up so that all of the small businesses get promotion.
It's worked really well, and again, the feedback that we've received from the businesses that have been participating is that they literally would be unable to do this type of advertising if it were not for this type of a program. And additionally, I'd like to report that we've had at least 2 of the companies that have started with us in this program have gone on to have their own individual contracts with them because they've learned how to take advantage of these programs and have now been able to kind of do it on their own.
So, Dave, can any small business in Orono participate in this program?
Yes, correct. And I suspect that though the list here lists the ones who have already committed to it. I know that they've got another 6 or 8 that they're supposed to be meeting with in the next week or two. So I truly will not be surprised to see that number go up this year.
If somebody wanted to participate, they should contact Dave.
Absolutely.
Dave will get them in touch with the appropriate people.
Good.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Thanks, Dave. It's been the Dave show today.
Yeah.
I'll take a vote on order 19-131. All those in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to council committee and representative reports. Do you want to go first?
I'd be glad to. Finance Committee met on June 18th at 8 a.m. And the items we discussed were adjustments and assignments for the FY19 financials, where we just moved some things around. We didn't create any new money, could spend any more money. We just moved some money from some unexpended lines to some overexpended lines. And that seemed to be a relatively simple process. We talked about the proposed FY19 carry forward balances. We discussed assignment of funds, review allocation of assignment of funds, and assignment of undesignated fund balance. And we reviewed a first review of a respectful work environment policy. And finally, we reviewed the current financial reports with our finance department. And we received a brief town manager's report.
Did you have any meetings?
I actually, for the first time, I have no reports because my committee did not meet, and also the Historical Society does not meet in July, and I think they're actually also taking August off this year. So they'll be back in September, and they have a program going on at the library that week as well. So I'll be talking about that next time.
Awesome. And council will not be having a formal monthly meeting in August either. Unless, getting ahead of myself. Okay. So Terry, do you have any future agenda items or items of concern?
I do not.
Megan? Tom? All right. Public petitions, I don't think we have any. Public comments? Anybody have any public comments? Nope. Tom, Jim.
Hi, my name is Jim Bird. I live at 139 Main Street in Orono, and I'm the director of the Orono Bog Boardwalk, which is a joint project of the Orono Land Trust, City of Bangor, and the University of Maine. I'd like to report that last week, boardwalk volunteers completed the reconstruction of the boardwalk. Over the past 8.5 years, we have raised over $1 million to accomplish this. Since 2013, scores of volunteers, including many from Orono, worked thousands of hours to reconstruct the boardwalk. I want to thank the Orono Town Council, especially Sophie Wilson, for all the support we've received over the years. Greatly appreciated. And I invite everyone to come to visit. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. All right. Anyone else? None. Do we have a brief town manager's update before adjournment?
Just a couple of brief things that are floating around that I might need you for between now and September. We Our insurance company is taking some exception for the fact that we have the land trust, the historical society, and the health association in our buildings without formal lease agreements. So I chatted with the health association today. I will reach out to the land trust and the historical society to see if we can create something that's simple, but will meet our insurance needs to make sure that people get insured. But that is, I want to make sure we have insurance coverage, so that might come up. The other issue is also a landlord-tenant issue, and it has to do with the old fire station on North Main Avenue. The Boy Scouts have a 99-year lease on that fire station. If there's anyone out there that has any information about that 99-year lease and what the terms were, I would really appreciate any help people could give me. We're trying to find the record. So we've had to take the chimney down to the roof line because it was falling, and we owned it. It would have been our damage claim. And we've patched the roof. So it's at a place where it can sit for a little bit, but we can't find any record of the lease or the lease agreement. So trying to find years that we could go back and pull council packets to better understand what that lease is and what the terms were. I'm going to guess that if we can't find anything, that will be another agreement that the council and I will have to talk with the Boy Scouts about. But there are some pretty significant issues with that building, and we need to take a look at that.
Great. So that's a preview of August.
We meet again, Sophie, sometime.
So we meet in July on the 18th for Community Development Committee. We meet on July 29th for council workshop, and I have 2 items on that agenda. One, it would start here to just talk about your marijuana information meeting that you had and what you might want to see. I would say that most of the time council tries not to do any major business in the summer when people are in and out, so I'm not assuming you'll make any final decisions, but you might give us some guidance where you'd like us to go. Then we're actually going to move over for a field trip to the fire station. We have a shift of fire officers that have putting together a really nice informational meeting for you about the fire service and what we have, and to kind of give you something to touch and feel and understand. Then the first Monday in August, the 5th, does that sound right? We have comp plan implementation. And again, we will probably continue discussion on the short-term rentals with the idea that we're not finalizing anything because it's summer. Then we take a break. And we would come back the second week of September for council meeting. There is a comp plan implementation, a finance committee meeting, finance and operations, and I think it's July 23rd, July 30th. And that will serve for July and August.
Okay. Anything else from council? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. All
So moved.
Second.
those in favor? Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Awesome. Good job.